As we start our new year, we start in the beginning. We hear the opening chapters of Genesis giving an account of the creation of the world and of our first fall into sin. These ancient scriptures are written in a time when competing mythologies abound, trying to understand who we are and who God is, why there is death and evil in the world. Israel's story is different. The one God who has revealed himself to Israel is the same God who created heaven and earth. He is sovereign. He has no competition, and all his works are good. When we focus on what this account tells us about God and about ourselves, we really stay out of the weeds. Meanwhile, John starts in the beginning with the bold claim that the Creator God has been made flesh in the person of Jesus Christ. There's all this temple language in the first couple chapters of John. First of all, you hear the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, literally pitched his tent among us. You hear about the angel of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man, as they did in Jacob's dream of a ladder, when Jacob said, "This is the house of God, this is the gate of heaven." And then you hear Jesus speaking of the temple of his body that will be destroyed and rebuilt in 3 days. Jesus is the presence of God living among his people. Meanwhile, in the evening, we begin with the prophet Jeremiah, ministering in a hard time. The northern part of Israel has been carried away, and the southern part is under Babylonian threat. They're looking for security in all the wrong places, from the gods of the nations and from the superpowers around them. All at the same time, they're still claiming to worship God. So the prophet has a hard word. You are basically cheating on God. It's the spiritual equivalent of adultery or prostitution. It's a difficult time for Jeremiah to be a prophet, and he has no fun with it. He's called the weeping prophet. Finally, it's the 8th day of Christmas, and the day when we celebrate the circumcision and naming of Jesus. So appropriately, we start the letter of Paul to the Galatians when he argues that circumcision is no longer necessary for those who want to be followers of Christ, as it always had been for the Jewish people. He argues that faith is and always has been the first thing when it comes to having a relationship with God. The whole argument about circumcision isn't really a current one, but the work that Paul did there paved the way for the gospel to break out of the cultural confines of Judaism and reach all nations. So happy reading.